Imagine starting your day with one tiny, seemingly harmless thought. Today is going to be tough. You tell yourself it's just a thought, but somehow it shapes everything you do that day. Ever noticed how a single habit or thought can actually direct the entire course of our lives? Well, today, we're going to dive into 10 habits that, while they seem minor, can actually weaken our mental strength, and we'll look at what Buddhism has to teach us about transforming these habits into mental powerhouses. 1. Negative mindset. The power of negativity. Why it's so easy to fall into. Negativity is surprisingly powerful. Our brains are wired to prioritize negative thoughts and emotions because, evolutionarily, they kept us safe from danger. When we were hunter-gatherers, being alert to threats kept us alive. But in today's world, where threats are more abstract, like failure, rejection, or even our own insecurities, this negativity bias can hold us back rather than protect us. In this way, negativity becomes a habit, something we fall into without realizing it's happening. Consider this example. You're at work, and your boss gives you feedback. 9 out of 10 things you did were excellent, but there's one area for improvement. Instead of focusing on the positive feedback, you dwell on that one critical comment, replaying it in your mind, interpreting it as a failure. It's like replaying a scene in a movie where your character is the villain, even when the overall plot is a success. This is the impact of a negative mindset. It amplifies the setbacks and minimizes the wins. Buddhist insights, the practice of mindfulness. In Buddhism, overcoming negativity begins with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of observing our thoughts without judgment, simply noticing them as they come and go. This might sound simple, but in practice it's a powerful way to separate ourselves from our thoughts. It gives us the chance to see negativity for what it is, a passing state of mind, not a permanent reality. Think of mindfulness as a mental mirror. When a negative thought arises, such as, "I'm not good enough," or "this will never work out," mindfulness allows us to notice it without attaching ourselves to it. We can say, there's that thought again, and gently let it pass. This awareness creates a pause, giving us the power to choose how we respond to that thought, rather than letting it control us. Buddhism also emphasizes the concept of impermanence, or the idea that all things, including thoughts and feelings, are temporary. Just as joy is fleeting, so is sadness, frustration, or anger. By recognizing that negative thoughts won't last forever, we can stop ourselves from getting trapped in them. It's like watching clouds pass across the sky. We don't try to hold on to them, knowing they'll eventually drift away. The practice of metta, cultivating loving kindness. Another profound Buddhist practice that helps in countering negativity is metta, or loving kindness meditation. This practice involves directing positive, warm and compassionate thoughts towards oneself and others. You begin by silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be free from suffering," and then extend those wishes to others. Loving kindness meditation shifts our mental focus from judgment and criticism to empathy and compassion. When practiced regularly, it's like training the mind to look for the positive aspects in ourselves and others, a powerful antidote to the negativity that often dominates our thoughts. It doesn't mean ignoring problems. Rather, it creates a foundation of compassion from which we can face life's challenges with a stronger, kinder mindset. Actionable steps: how to start reframing negativity. Adopting a positive mindset isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the full picture. Here are some steps inspired by Buddhist practices that can help you start reframing negative thoughts and breaking free from the habit of negativity. 1. Notice the thought. When a negative thought arises, take a moment to simply notice it. You might say to yourself, "I'm feeling negative right now," without trying to change it. Just acknowledging the thought is the first step to breaking its power over you. 2. Label the emotion. Give your emotions a name. Are you feeling anxious, frustrated, disappointed? Labeling the feeling helps create a bit of distance, reminding you that your emotions are just that. Emotions, not your entire reality. 3. Ask if it's true. Once you've noticed the thought and labeled it, ask yourself if it's really true. For instance, if the thought is, "I'll never be successful," challenge that. Reflect on moments of achievement, however small, that contradict this belief. This questioning can help you see things in a more balanced way. 4. Reframe the situation. Try to reframe your thought. Instead of thinking, "I always mess up," replace it with, "I'm learning, and mistakes are part of that process." Reframing is about seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than failures. 5. Practice. Gratitude. Every morning or evening, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Something as simple as a delicious meal or a warm conversation is enough. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to focus more on the positive aspects of life, gradually reducing the pull of negative thoughts. Living with a positive mindset. The real-life impact. Imagine approaching each day with a lighter mental load, free from the constant weight of negativity. One story that comes to mind is of a friend who struggled with self-doubt in his career. He often felt that his work wasn't good enough and constantly compared himself to others. But after starting a daily mindfulness practice and actively working to reframe his thoughts, he began to notice subtle changes. He felt less pressure, started to appreciate his strengths, and gradually found confidence in his abilities. This is the real-life impact of moving from a negative to a positive mindset. It doesn't mean eliminating all problems or never feeling doubt. It means gaining the resilience to face challenges without letting negativity dictate the outcome. 2. Complaining about things outside of control. The downside of complaining, why we do it. On the surface, complaining feels like a release. It's a quick way to share our frustrations and maybe even find validation from others who feel the same way. There's a temporary sense of relief, but it's short-lived. Complaining keeps us focused on problems rather than solutions, on things we don't want rather than what we do. Over time, it becomes a mental habit, an automatic response to any obstacle we face. Take a common example: bad weather. Imagine you had planned a day outdoors, only to find that it's raining. Immediately the complaints start. Why does it have to rain today? This always happens to me. The more you focus on what you can't do, the less you appreciate other possibilities, like maybe enjoying a cozy day indoors or taking the time to catch up on things you've put off. Complaining blinds us to alternatives because it locks us into a narrow way of thinking, one that assumes things are bad simply because they didn't go as planned. Buddhist insights, acceptance, and impermanence. In Buddhism, one of the most transformative teachings related to this topic is the concept of impermanence. Everything changes. Our emotions, our circumstances, and the things that seem to go wrong today may look entirely different tomorrow. When we complain, we tend to forget this truth and act as though the current inconvenience is a permanent, immovable obstacle. But if we can remember that nothing lasts forever, including difficult situations, we start to see complaints for what they are, unnecessary burdens we're choosing to carry. Buddhism also teaches the value of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean we approve of every inconvenience or that we stop trying to improve our lives. Instead, it means we acknowledge that certain things are beyond our control, and we make peace with that reality. Think of acceptance as learning to dance in the rain instead of waiting endlessly for the storm to pass. By embracing this mindset, we release the weight of constant complaints and move toward a lighter, more resilient way of thinking.
The power of letting go.
One of the most empowering aspects of Buddhist philosophy is the idea of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing our grip on things we don't control, freeing up energy for what we can influence. It's like releasing a balloon. When you let it go, you feel lighter. Holding on to complaints, on the other hand, is like keeping a tight grip on that balloon, constantly worrying about where it's going. Letting go also involves shifting our focus from problems to possibilities. Rather than fixating on what's wrong, we start looking for what we can do or how we can adapt. This shift turns a passive mindset into an active one, empowering us to make the best of any situation. Actionable steps. Moving from complaints to acceptance. Changing the habit of complaining doesn't happen overnight, but with mindful steps, it's absolutely possible. Here are some practical actions you can take to start letting go of complaints and embracing a mindset of acceptance. 1. Pause and reflect. The next time you catch yourself complaining, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, acknowledge the frustration, but decide to release it. This small pause creates space to choose acceptance over complaint. 2. Practice. Reframing. Shift your perspective by finding one positive or neutral aspect of the situation. For instance, if it's raining on the day of your outdoor plans, think, well, at least the plants are getting watered, or this gives me a chance to do something cozy indoors. Reframing isn't about ignoring difficulties. It's about finding something good or constructive to focus on. 3. Use complaints as signals. View complaints as signals that something in your mindset needs adjusting. When you complain, it often highlights an unmet expectation. Ask yourself, what did I expect, and is that expectation fair? By adjusting unrealistic expectations, you become more open to the present moment and less attached to how things should be. 4. Shift to problem solving. For situations where you do have some control, turn your complaints into problem-solving opportunities. Instead of thinking, this is so frustrating, try asking, what can I do to improve this situation? For example, if you're frustrated by a messy living space, shift from complaining to taking small steps to organize it. 5. Develop a habit of gratitude. One of the most powerful antidotes to complaining is gratitude. Make it a habit to end each day by reflecting on 3 things you're grateful for. They can be as simple as a good meal, a kind interaction, or a quiet moment to yourself. Over time, this practice retrains your mind to focus on what's positive, reducing the impulse to complain. Real life. Impact, a story of transformation. Let's consider the story of a friend who always used to complain about their job. Every day they'd come home and vent about the workload, the boss, the environment. Everything seemed wrong. But after realizing how much energy they were spending on complaints, they decided to try an experiment. Instead of complaining, they'd take small actions within their control, like organizing their tasks better or setting boundaries with colleagues. Over time, They noticed a shift. The job didn't change, but their mindset did. They began to feel empowered, more in control of their experience, and surprisingly, their stress levels dropped. Complaints that once felt justified began to seem unnecessary, and they found themselves focusing more on what was going well. This shift didn't just improve their job satisfaction, it changed how they approached life. Letting go as a path to inner freedom. By moving away from complaints and toward acceptance, we free ourselves from a constant sense of frustration. In Buddhism, this is often likened to freeing ourselves from a self-imposed prison. When we let go of the things we can't control, we release our minds from a cycle of dissatisfaction and open up space for clarity, creativity, and peace. Imagine the weight you'd lift if you could simply accept things as they are, letting go of what you can't change. Think of the time and energy you'd save, resources you could put toward things that truly bring you joy and purpose. This is the real power of acceptance. It doesn't just make life easier, it makes life richer, more fulfilling. Turning complaints into compassion. The next time you feel tempted to complain about something outside of your control, try turning that frustration into compassion. Remember that every person around you also faces challenges, many of which they can't control. Instead of complaining, consider how you can bring a bit of positivity or kindness into the situation. Compassion is a natural byproduct of acceptance, and by practicing it, you create a ripple effect that extends beyond yourself. Complaining is a habit, but so is acceptance. The more we practice letting go of complaints and embracing things as they are, the more resilient we become. We shift from a mindset of resistance to one of flow, finding peace in the unpredictable journey of life. And that's the heart of what Buddhism teaches us, not to control everything, but to find strength in going with the flow, living with purpose, and letting go of what we can't change. By releasing complaints, we don't just let go of negativity. We make room for a lighter, freer, and more empowered version of ourselves. 3. Not expressing yourself. Why we hold back. The fear of vulnerability. At the root of this habit lies a common fear: vulnerability. Opening up about what we think or feel can feel risky. There's the fear of being misunderstood, criticized, or dismissed. Many of us may have grown up in environments where sharing emotions was discouraged, or perhaps we've experienced times when opening up led to hurt. Over time, we build a protective wall, convincing ourselves that silence is safer. But think about it. Not expressing yourself is like keeping a beautiful song locked away in your mind, never letting it be heard. You miss the chance to be seen and understood, and others miss out on the real you. This fear-driven habit keeps us isolated and prevents us from forming genuine connections with those around us. Buddhist insights: the practice of right speech. In Buddhism, there is a guiding principle called right speech, one of the steps on the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech isn't just about what we say. It's about how and why we communicate. It teaches that words have power, and when used mindfully, they can bring about understanding, healing, and connection. Right speech involves speaking truthfully, kindly, and with purpose. It's about choosing words that uplift and support, rather than harm. The goal is not only to express yourself, but to do so in a way that brings clarity and fosters connection. When we practice right speech, we're encouraged to speak authentically and thoughtfully, aligning our words with compassion and integrity. In the context of self-expression, Right speech serves as a reminder that our words can bridge the gap between ourselves and others. It empowers us to share who we truly are without the need for validation or approval. We speak not to impress, but to express, bringing our inner world into the light and inviting others to see us as we are. The power of mindfulness in self-expression. Buddhism also teaches us about mindfulness, a practice of being fully present and aware of our thoughts, emotions, and intentions. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment, giving us a clearer understanding of what we truly want to express. When we're mindful, we're better able to recognize what's important to us and how we can communicate it in a way that aligns with our values. Think of mindfulness as a mirror. When we take time to reflect on our feelings and thoughts, we see them clearly, without distortion. This clarity helps us express ourselves more authentically, without hiding behind defensive walls or pretending to be someone we're not. Mindfulness also allows us to listen deeply to others, building stronger connections that are based on genuine understanding. The physical and emotional cost of silence. Holding back your thoughts and emotions can have real consequences for your mental and physical health. Studies show that bottling up emotions can lead to increased stress levels, anxiety, and even physical ailments like high blood pressure and digestive issues. Emotional suppression doesn't just affect the mind. It impacts the body, creating a cycle where unexpressed feelings fester and grow. Consider a person who is always reluctant to speak up, whether at work or in personal relationships. Over time, they may feel isolated, misunderstood, and even resentful, but they don't let these feelings out. The longer they hold it in, the greater the inner tension grows, eventually leading to burnout or conflict. By choosing not to express yourself, you're essentially carrying an invisible weight that gradually wears you down. Actionable steps. Cultivating authentic self-expression. Self-expression can be challenging, especially if you're not used to it. However, by taking small steps, you can gradually build confidence in sharing your true thoughts and feelings. Here are some practical tips inspired by Buddhist practices to help you break free from the habit of silence and embrace authentic self-expression. 1. Start with self-reflection. Begin by taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly and reflect on what's been on your mind. Journaling is an excellent way to do this. Write down your thoughts and emotions without worrying about how they sound. This process helps you get comfortable with your own voice and what you want to say. 2. Practice. Speaking from the heart. When you talk with someone, especially about personal matters, try speaking from a place of honesty and kindness. Right speech teaches us to communicate with compassion and clarity, so aim to express your thoughts without blaming or criticizing. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try, "I feel unheard, and it makes me feel disconnected." This approach fosters understanding rather than defensiveness. 3. Use mindful listening to build confidence. Part of expressing yourself is learning to listen deeply to others. Practice mindful listening by giving your full attention when someone is speaking to you. This builds a stronger connection and helps you feel more at ease when it's your turn to share. When you know that others are truly listening, it encourages you to open up more comfortably. 4. Embrace nonverbal expression. Not all expression has to be verbal. Body language, eye contact, and gestures are also powerful ways to communicate. If words feel difficult, start by expressing yourself through these subtle cues. Smiling, maintaining eye contact, or even writing a letter instead of speaking directly can help you get more comfortable with self-expression. 5. Practice. Small acts of vulnerability. Start small. Share one thing with a friend or family member that you've been holding back. It could be a thought, a feeling, or even a personal goal. Opening up, even in small ways, helps build trust with others and gives you confidence to continue sharing in the future. Remember, vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a sign of strength and authenticity, the real-life impact of authentic expression. Let's take the story of a woman named Sarah. Sarah had always been a quiet person, never sharing her true feelings, especially at work. She felt overlooked and frustrated, but her habit of staying silent only deepened her sense of isolation. After reading about mindfulness and right speech, she began practicing small acts of expression. Instead of bottling up her ideas, she started speaking up in meetings, sharing her thoughts openly but respectfully. Over time, she noticed a shift, not only in how others perceived her, but also in her own confidence. Expressing herself allowed her to feel more engaged and connected, both at work and in her personal life. She felt lighter, no longer weighed down by unspoken thoughts, and began to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. This story illustrates that authentic expression doesn't just improve our mental well-being. It opens doors to deeper connections and personal growth. Closing reflection. Opening the window to your true self. Think of expressing yourself as opening a window to let in fresh air. When we hold back, it's like keeping the window shut, trapping our thoughts and feelings until they become stagnant. But when we open that window, we allow for a healthy flow of air. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions can come and go freely. This openness creates space for understanding, connection, and clarity. Not expressing yourself may feel safe, but it also keeps you hidden. By choosing to share, even in small ways, you let your true self shine through. Buddhist teachings remind us that when we communicate with honesty and compassion, we create harmony within ourselves and with others. Self-expression isn't just about words. It's about living in alignment with who you truly are. So next time you feel tempted to keep quiet, remember that expressing yourself isn't about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about sharing what's real, connecting with others, and building a stronger sense of self. Every word, every gesture, every act of self-expression brings you one step closer to a life of authenticity and inner peace. By embracing self-expression, we lift the veil of silence, letting our true thoughts and feelings take shape in the world. It's a gift not only to ourselves, but to everyone around us. 4. Blaming others for your problems. The trap of blame, why we do it. Blaming others is an easy trap to fall into because it feels like a form of release. It's easier to point the finger at someone or something else than to face the uncomfortable truth that we may have some responsibility in the situation. Blaming shifts accountability outward, allowing us to avoid the difficult work of self-reflection and growth. Consider a common example. You're at work, and a project doesn't go as planned. Your immediate reaction might be, "It's because my team didn't support me," or, "If only my manager had given me clearer instructions." In that moment, shifting the blame seems justified, and it takes the immediate weight off your shoulders. However, when blame becomes a habit, it reinforces a mindset of helplessness. Over time, you start to believe that your happiness and success are controlled by forces outside of you, weakening your ability to shape your own path. Buddhist insights, the power of karma and personal responsibility. In Buddhism, the concept of karma offers valuable insight into breaking the cycle of blame. Karma teaches that our actions have consequences and that we play a role in the unfolding of our own lives. While external factors do impact us, Buddhism emphasizes that we always have agency in how we respond. We may not be able to control every situation, but we can control our reactions, choices, and attitudes. Taking responsibility is about recognizing this truth, that we are active participants in our lives, not passive victims. By owning our actions and decisions, we reclaim the power to shape our destiny. In Buddhism, this is a path to liberation, where freedom comes not from avoiding responsibility, but from embracing it fully. When we stop blaming others, we allow ourselves to learn and grow, using each experience as an opportunity to cultivate wisdom and resilience. Forgiveness, a path to letting go of blame. Forgiveness is another core Buddhist practice that helps us break free from blame. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful actions. It's about releasing ourselves from the weight of resentment. Holding on to blame is like carrying a grudge. It only adds to our suffering and keeps us stuck in the past. Think of forgiveness as setting down that heavy backpack filled with blame. When we forgive others, we're not saying that their actions were acceptable. Instead, we're choosing not to let their actions control our emotions or keep us trapped. By forgiving, we create space for healing, growth, and a clearer understanding of our own responsibility. This act of letting go is not only freeing, but also empowering, allowing us to reclaim our energy and focus on our own growth. Actionable steps, moving from blame to personal responsibility. Breaking the habit of blame isn't easy, especially if it's deeply ingrained. However, with mindful practice, we can begin to shift from a mindset of blame to one of personal accountability. Here are some practical steps inspired by Buddhist teachings to help you make this transition.
1. Pause and reflect.
The next time you catch yourself blaming someone, pause and ask, what role did I play in this situation? This question isn't about self-blame, but about finding where you have control. Reflection allows you to see the full picture and recognize how your actions or choices contributed to the outcome. 2. Practice self-compassion. When taking responsibility, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism. Instead, approach yourself with kindness. Acknowledge that you're human and that mistakes are a part of growth. Self-compassion gives you the courage to face your shortcomings without shame, helping you see responsibility as a path to improvement, not punishment. 3. Shift from "why me" to "what can I learn?" Instead of asking, "why did this happen to me?" try asking, "what can I learn from this experience?" This shift in mindset helps you move from victimhood to empowerment, turning every challenge into an opportunity for personal growth. 4. Forgive and release. Blame. Forgiveness is key to breaking free from blame. Take time to consciously let go of resentment toward those you blame, including yourself. You might try a forgiveness meditation where you visualize letting go of the anger or disappointment you hold. This act of release will free up mental and emotional energy, allowing you to focus on constructive actions. 5. Adopt a captain of my ship. Mindset. Visualize yourself as the captain of your life's journey. While you can't control every wave or storm, you can adjust your sails and navigate accordingly. By adopting this mindset, you start to see challenges not as setbacks, but as chances to steer your life in a new direction. Real life. Example, the transformative power of taking responsibility. Let's look at the story of David, a man who used to blame others for nearly everything in his life. When things didn't go well at work, he'd blame his colleagues or the company. In relationships, he blamed his partner for his unhappiness. Over time, this pattern of blame left him feeling powerless and disconnected. One day, David encountered a book on Buddhism and the concept of karma, which made him realize that he was giving away his power by blaming others. He decided to make a conscious effort to take responsibility. He started reflecting on his own role in situations and asked himself what he could change within himself. The results were profound. David noticed that he felt lighter, more in control, and began experiencing healthier relationships and greater satisfaction at work. By letting go of blame, he found a renewed sense of freedom and strength. David's story illustrates that by shifting from blame to responsibility, we don't just improve our circumstances, we change our mindset. Taking ownership of our experiences opens doors to personal growth and resilience. Finding freedom through responsibility. The journey from blame to responsibility is transformative. It's a path toward mental and emotional freedom, where we're no longer held back by resentment or frustration. In Buddhism, this is akin to finding equanimity, a balanced state of mind that remains steady in the face of life's ups and downs. By taking responsibility, we empower ourselves to navigate challenges without being swayed by blame or anger. When we stop blaming others, we also cultivate compassion. We start to see that everyone is doing their best, facing their own struggles. This understanding helps us let go of resentment and find peace, even in challenging relationships or situations. Instead of seeing others as obstacles, we begin to see them as teachers, offering us insights and opportunities for growth. Closing reflection. The power of ownership. Think of blaming others as holding onto the steering wheel of a car that's not even yours. You're trying to control someone else's life or actions, something that's ultimately out of reach. But when you take responsibility, it's like sitting in the driver's seat of your own life. You regain control, able to steer toward your goals and values. Next time you feel the urge to blame someone else, pause and take a breath. Remind yourself that every experience, even the difficult ones, is a stepping stone on your journey. By choosing responsibility over blame, you're choosing freedom over frustration. You're empowering yourself to create a life of purpose, resilience, and inner peace. This shift from blame to personal responsibility isn't just a mental exercise. It's a path to a more empowered and fulfilling life. Buddhism teaches us that true strength comes not from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. And as we let go of blame, we open ourselves to a life of greater clarity, connection, and peace. By embracing responsibility, we transform our lives from passive to active, moving from helplessness to empowerment. This is the ultimate liberation, freeing ourselves from the shackles of blame and walking forward with purpose, resilience, and strength. 5. Fantasizing instead of visualizing. Fantasizing is a habit many of us fall into without even realizing it. It starts with a simple, what if? What if I had a perfect job? What if I were living in that dream house? What if my life were completely different? While daydreaming can be harmless in moderation, it becomes unproductive when it disconnects us from reality. When we fantasize, we create scenarios that often have no foundation in the present or realistic future, making us feel frustrated or dissatisfied with our real lives. In contrast, visualization is a constructive process. Instead of merely imagining an ideal outcome, visualization involves envisioning achievable goals, coupled with a clear path to attain them. It's like creating a map. While fantasies are castles in the air, visualization provides a bridge to reach our aspirations. The difference may seem small, but it's significant. Fantasizing weakens us because it keeps us stuck in an illusion, whereas visualization motivates us to act in a grounded, purposeful way. Buddhist insights, the power of right intention and right action. Buddhism teaches two key principles that align with visualization: right intention and right action. Right intention is about setting purposeful goals that reflect our true values and aspirations, rather than getting lost in fantasy. Right action, meanwhile, involves taking practical steps toward these goals. Together, these principles encourage us to bridge the gap between dreams and reality, turning hopeful thoughts into concrete plans. When we practice right intention, we focus on goals that are meaningful and achievable. This practice prevents us from falling into the trap of unrealistic fantasies. For example, instead of fantasizing about being rich overnight, right intention would guide us to seek financial stability through hard work, skill development, or prudent decisions. Right action then takes this intention and translates it into specific steps, creating a budget, learning new skills, or saving consistently. This combination of intention and action grounds our dreams in reality, transforming wishful thinking into a powerful, achievable journey. The concept of impermanence. Staying flexible. Another Buddhist teaching that helps us avoid the pitfalls of fantasy is impermanence. Impermanence reminds us that everything changes, including our desires, goals, and circumstances. Fantasies tend to fixate on a static, unchanging outcome, an idealized vision of life that doesn't adapt or evolve. But visualization, when guided by impermanence, stays flexible. We can adjust our path as life unfolds, responding to challenges and opportunities, rather than getting stuck in unrealistic expectations. Think of impermanence as riding a wave instead of clinging to the shore. When we accept that life is constantly shifting, we develop resilience, allowing ourselves to adapt our vision to fit changing realities. Visualization grounded in impermanence is like having a compass rather than a rigid map. It keeps us moving forward while remaining open to the unexpected. Actionable steps. Shifting from fantasy to visualization. Making the shift from fantasizing to visualization is transformative. Here are some practical steps, inspired by Buddhist teachings, to help you focus your mind on achievable goals rather than unattainable fantasies. 1. Define your goal. Clearly, start by identifying one goal that's meaningful and realistic. Be specific. Instead of a vague fantasy like, "I wish I were successful," try, "I want to advance in my career by acquiring specific skills or certifications within the next year." Clear goals prevent the mind from drifting into unrealistic scenarios and provide a foundation for actionable steps. 2. Break down the goal into steps. Once you have a clear goal, break it down into small, manageable actions. For example, if your goal is career advancement, identify what's needed, such as networking, skill building, or seeking mentorship. These steps act as a bridge, helping you move from the present to your desired future in a tangible way. 3. Visualize the process, not just the outcome. When visualizing, focus on the journey rather than just the end result. Imagine yourself taking each step, facing challenges, and overcoming them. This approach keeps you grounded in reality and prepares you mentally for the effort required, reducing the likelihood of disappointment. 4. Reflect regularly and adapt as needed. Embrace the concept of impermanence by setting aside time to reflect on your progress and goals. Life changes, and so should your plans if necessary. Adapt your actions or even your goals as new information or circumstances arise. This flexibility strengthens your ability to navigate setbacks or unexpected changes. 5. Practice gratitude to stay grounded. Fantasies often arise from a feeling of lack or dissatisfaction. By practicing gratitude, you shift your focus to what's already present in your life. This doesn't mean abandoning your aspirations. Rather, it means appreciating the journey and finding contentment along the way, which reduces the allure of unrealistic fantasies. A real-life example: the shift from fantasy to visualization. Consider the story of Lisa, who used to fantasize about being a famous writer. She'd spend hours daydreaming about best-selling novels, book tours, and interviews, but she rarely wrote or edited anything substantial. Eventually, she realized that these fantasies were holding her back, making her feel inadequate instead of inspired. Determined to change, Lisa began practicing visualization. She set a realistic goal to complete a short story within 3 months and submit it to local publications. She visualized the process of writing each day, facing writer's block, and revising drafts. This grounded approach not only led to her first published story, but also made her feel empowered. Instead of getting lost in unreachable dreams, Lisa found satisfaction in taking real steps toward her goal. Lisa's story illustrates the profound shift that happens when we let go of fantasies and embrace visualization. She didn't give up on her aspirations. She transformed them into something actionable and achievable, discovering a path that was both challenging and rewarding. Building a mindset of constructive visualization. Visualization isn't just a skill. It's a mindset that helps us navigate life with clarity and purpose. By focusing on what's achievable and setting actionable steps, we train our minds to stay grounded and engaged with reality. In Buddhism, this is seen as living in harmony with right intention, setting goals that reflect our values and aspirations while remaining present and mindful of the path. With constructive visualization, we're able to approach our dreams with patience and persistence. Fantasies may seem alluring, but they often leave us feeling disconnected and discouraged. Visualization, on the other hand, empowers us to face life's challenges, equipping us with the resilience to grow and adapt. This mindset doesn't limit our potential. It strengthens our ability to make our goals a reality. Closing reflection. Transforming dreams into reality. Buddhism teaches us that true strength comes not from escaping reality, but from embracing it fully, with all its challenges and possibilities. Fantasizing may offer a temporary escape, but it weakens us by keeping us stuck in a world of illusion. Visualization, however, is about transforming dreams into actionable goals, aligning our desires with practical steps, and adapting as we go. The next time you catch yourself drifting into fantasy, take a moment to ground yourself. Ask, what small action can I take today to bring me closer to my goal? By shifting from fantasizing to visualizing, you're not just daydreaming. You're building a bridge to your aspirations, one step at a time. Remember, life is an ever-changing journey, and your goals may shift along the way. Embrace each moment with gratitude, adapt to the flow of life, and keep moving forward. In doing so, you're creating a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment, where dreams are not just imagined, but realized. 6. Neglecting personal relationships. When we neglect personal relationships, It's like having a garden but never watering the plants. Over time, the connections that once brought joy and support slowly wither away, leaving us isolated and often disconnected. As social beings, we thrive on connection, and meaningful relationships provide a sense of belonging, joy, and emotional nourishment. Neglecting these relationships weakens our mental resilience, making life's journey feel lonelier and more challenging. Relationships, whether with friends, family, or partners, are crucial to our well-being. They act as a support system, helping us navigate life's highs and lows. Yet in the hustle of daily life, it's easy to take these bonds for granted, assuming they'll always be there. However, just as a garden needs regular care, so do our relationships. Without nurturing, these connections can grow distant, leading to feelings of loneliness, regret, and a weakened mental state. Buddhist insights: the value of compassion and impermanence. In Buddhism, relationships are seen as vital aspects of our journey, helping us practice compassion, empathy, and understanding. The principle of impermanence reminds us that nothing in life is guaranteed, including the time we have with our loved ones. Recognizing the impermanent nature of life helps us appreciate the relationships we have and motivates us to cherish them in the present moment. Compassion is also a central Buddhist teaching and is essential to building and maintaining relationships. When we approach relationships with compassion, we foster understanding, patience, and empathy, qualities that deepen our connections with others. Compassion encourages us to be present with our loved ones, to listen actively, and to offer support without judgment. This practice enriches our relationships, creating bonds that are rooted in kindness and mutual respect. The cost of neglecting relationships. When we neglect personal relationships, the emotional impact is often gradual but profound. Over time, feelings of isolation and loneliness may start to set in. Studies show that social connections are linked to lower levels of anxiety and depression, as well as increased self-esteem and empathy. Without these connections, we miss out on the mental and emotional support that friends and family provide, leading to a weakened sense of well-being. Consider a person who prioritizes work over everything else, telling themselves that they'll make time for loved ones later. They might achieve career success, but realize too late that they've missed out on valuable time with friends and family. The satisfaction from work can't replace the deeper, lasting fulfillment that comes from meaningful connections. This experience is common in our busy, fast-paced world, where personal relationships are often sidelined, resulting in regret and a sense of missed opportunities. Actionable steps: cultivating and nurturing relationships. Building and maintaining strong relationships doesn't require grand gestures. Small, consistent actions make all the difference. Here are practical steps inspired by Buddhist teachings to help you reconnect with and nurture the relationships in your life. 1. Be present. Practice being fully present when you're with someone. In Buddhism, this is linked to mindfulness, where we give our undivided attention to the person in front of us without distractions. Put away your phone, listen actively, and respond with genuine interest. This simple act of presence shows your loved ones that you value them, creating deeper connections. 2. Practice active listening. Listening is one of the most powerful ways to show you care. When someone is speaking to you, listen without interrupting or planning your response. Just listen with an open mind and heart. Active listening fosters understanding and helps build trust, creating a safe space where both of you feel seen and heard. 3. Express gratitude regularly. Take time to express gratitude for the people in your life. A simple thank you or a heartfelt message acknowledging their support can make a big difference. In Buddhism, gratitude is a practice that cultivates appreciation for both the big and small blessings in our lives, reminding us not to take our loved ones for granted. 4. Schedule quality time. Make it a priority to spend quality time with loved ones, even if it's just a few minutes each day. Set aside regular time, whether it's weekly calls with family, monthly outings with friends, or dedicated moments with your partner. Quality time strengthens bonds and shows that you're invested in the relationship. 5. Offer kindness. Without expectation. Show kindness and compassion without expecting anything in return. Small acts of kindness like a supportive message, a thoughtful gesture, or offering help when someone is struggling can deepen relationships. This aligns with the Buddhist teaching of loving kindness, where we act with compassion and empathy, creating a positive ripple effect in our relationships. A real-life example, the impact of reconnecting. Let's look at the story of Tom, a man who realized he had been neglecting his relationships in pursuit of his career. For years, he focused solely on work, often missing family gatherings and losing touch with old friends. Eventually, he began to feel lonely and realized that his career accomplishments felt empty without loved ones to share them with. Tom decided to make a change. He began reconnecting with his family, attending gatherings, and catching up with old friends. He also made it a habit to call his parents weekly and schedule regular meetups with friends. Over time, he noticed a profound shift in his mental well-being. The satisfaction and joy from these connections helped him find balance, reminding him of the importance of relationships. Tom's story shows how investing time and energy into relationships enriches life, providing strength and comfort that material success alone can't offer. Strengthening relationships through compassion and empathy. In Buddhism, strengthening relationships isn't just about spending time together. It's about building genuine empathy and understanding. Compassion and empathy allow us to connect on a deeper level, seeing the humanity in each other and offering support without judgment. When we approach relationships with empathy, we not only create stronger bonds, but also contribute positively to the mental health of ourselves and those around us. For instance, when a loved one is going through a difficult time, offering a listening ear and gentle support rather than advice or criticism builds trust and strengthens the relationship. Practicing empathy in such moments shows that we're there not to judge or fix, but simply to offer understanding and kindness. Closing reflection. Building a foundation of support. Relationships are like the threads that weave the fabric of our lives. They provide joy, support, and a sense of belonging that nothing else can replace. Neglecting these relationships may seem harmless in the short term, but over time, the cost becomes evident. Buddhism teaches us that relationships are precious and impermanent, and we must cherish them while we can. The next time you find yourself putting off a call or skipping a family gathering, take a moment to reflect on the value of connection. Remember that each interaction, no matter how small, contributes to a foundation of support that will be there in both joyful and challenging times. By nurturing our relationships with presence, compassion, and gratitude, we build a life that's not only resilient but also deeply fulfilling. Our loved ones won't always be around, and neither will we. So make the most of each moment you have with them. These connections are our greatest sources of strength, reminding us that we're not alone on this journey. By investing in the people we care about, we create a support system that enriches our lives, helping us face life's challenges with confidence and peace. Through the simple acts of kindness, empathy, and presence, we can cultivate relationships that uplift us and bring lasting joy. Relationships are not just parts of our lives. They're essential to our mental strength and emotional well-being. By embracing them fully, we create a life filled with love, support, and resilience. 7. Letting your emotions rule you. Letting our emotions control us is like being caught in a powerful river current. Instead of navigating life with intention and clarity, we're pulled wherever our emotions take us. When anger, fear, or sadness takes control, we may react impulsively, say things we don't mean, or make choices that don't align with our values. Over time, letting emotions rule us weakens our mental resilience, leaving us reactive and often regretful. Emotions are natural and valuable. They help us understand ourselves and navigate the world. However, when we're constantly at the mercy of our feelings, we lose our sense of direction and inner peace. Instead of making mindful decisions, we act in the heat of the moment, often exacerbating the challenges we face. Buddhist insights, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. Buddhism teaches that emotions are like passing clouds. They come and go, and they don't define us. One powerful practice in Buddhism for managing emotions is mindfulness. Mindfulness encourages us to observe our emotions without judgment, allowing us to understand and accept them without being overwhelmed. It's like standing on the riverbank, watching the water flow by without being swept away by it. When we practice mindfulness, we develop emotional intelligence, which involves recognizing, understanding, and managing our emotions effectively. Emotional intelligence helps us respond to situations calmly and wisely, rather than reacting impulsively. By observing our emotions with curiosity and detachment, we can choose how to respond, rather than letting feelings dictate our actions. Another Buddhist teaching that supports emotional control is the practice of equanimity, remaining balanced and stable in both good and bad times. Equanimity teaches us that life is full of highs and lows, and by maintaining a steady mind, we can navigate challenges without being overly affected by them. This balanced approach to emotions fosters resilience and peace, helping us handle life's challenges with greater composure. The cost of letting emotions take over. When emotions dictate our actions, it often leads to choices and behaviors that we later regret. Consider someone who allows anger to control them. In a heated moment, they might lash out at a loved one, damaging the relationship. Later, when the anger fades, they feel remorse, but the damage is already done. By letting emotions take control, we create unnecessary pain for ourselves and others. Letting emotions rule also affects our mental health. Constantly reacting to emotions, whether it's fear, sadness, or frustration, keeps us in a state of stress. Over time, this wears down our resilience, leading to feelings of burnout, anxiety, and helplessness. When we don't have a balanced approach to our emotions, we end up feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from our inner peace. Actionable steps: cultivating emotional intelligence and balance. Developing emotional intelligence and learning to manage emotions is a process that takes time and practice. Here are some actionable steps, inspired by Buddhist principles, to help you move from being controlled by your emotions to becoming the master of them. 1. Practice. Mindful observation. When you feel a strong emotion rising, pause and observe it without judgment. Notice where you feel it in your body and name the emotion, e.g., I am feeling angry, or I am feeling anxious. This simple act of naming creates a sense of distance, helping you see the emotion as a passing experience rather than an absolute reality. 2. Take deep, conscious breaths. When emotions feel overwhelming, practice deep breathing to calm your nervous system. Deep breathing helps ground you in the present moment, reducing the intensity of the emotion and giving you time to consider your response. Focus on slow, even breaths, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. 3. Practice self-compassion. Emotions often intensify when we criticize ourselves for feeling them. Instead, treat yourself with kindness. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel emotions. They're a natural part of being human. Self-compassion reduces the intensity of emotions and helps you process them with greater clarity. 4. Use the 10-second rule. When you feel the urge to react impulsively, try pausing for 10 seconds. Count to 10 slowly before responding. This pause creates a buffer, giving you time to think about whether your response aligns with your values and whether it will bring about a positive outcome. 5. Cultivate loving-kindness meditation. Metta. In moments of emotional distress, practice metta, or loving-kindness meditation. This involves directing compassionate thoughts toward yourself and others, which can soften intense emotions like anger or jealousy. Repeating phrases like, "May I be calm and peaceful," or "May I respond with kindness," shifts your mindset to a more compassionate, balanced state. 6. Reflect and learn from each experience. At the end of each day, reflect on moments when emotions took control. Ask yourself what triggered the reaction and how you could respond differently next time. This reflection helps you learn from each experience, gradually increasing your emotional intelligence and ability to respond mindfully. A real-life example: finding balance in emotions. Consider the story of Maya, who struggled with letting her emotions control her actions. Whenever she felt stressed or frustrated, she would snap at people close to her. Over time, her relationships suffered, and she began to feel isolated and misunderstood. Realizing that her emotions were taking over, she decided to try mindfulness and meditation. Maya started practicing mindfulness daily, observing her emotions instead of reacting immediately. She also adopted the 10-second rule, which helped her create a pause between feeling and reacting. Slowly, Maya found that she could navigate difficult emotions more calmly. Her relationships improved, and she felt more in control of her life. By cultivating emotional intelligence, Maya was able to create a sense of peace and balance, responding to life's challenges with resilience and compassion. Maya's journey illustrates that by developing awareness and control over our emotions, we can transform both our inner and outer worlds. Emotional intelligence is not about suppressing feelings. It's about understanding and guiding them constructively. Embracing equanimity for long-term resilience. In Buddhism, equanimity is the foundation of emotional resilience. It allows us to approach life's ups and downs with a calm, steady mind. This doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring emotions, but observing them without getting swept away. By practicing equanimity, we cultivate a mindset that remains grounded regardless of external circumstances. Equanimity teaches us that emotions are like waves in the ocean. They rise and fall, but they don't change the nature of the ocean itself. When we recognize that emotions are temporary, we can navigate them with confidence, knowing that they, too, will pass. This perspective fosters long-term resilience, allowing us to handle both joy and sorrow without losing our inner balance. Closing reflection: becoming the master of your emotions. Learning to manage emotions is an essential part of mental strength. Emotions are valuable signals, but they're not always accurate guides. By cultivating mindfulness, self-compassion, and equanimity, we learn to observe our emotions and choose our responses thoughtfully. Instead of reacting impulsively, we develop the skill to respond in ways that align with our values and goals. The next time a strong emotion arises, remember that you have the power to observe it, understand it, and respond constructively. Emotions don't have to control your life. They can serve as guides, helping you grow in self-awareness and resilience. By taking steps to cultivate emotional intelligence, you're not just improving your mental strength. You're creating a life where peace, purpose, and balance are within reach. When we choose to master our emotions, we gain freedom. We become the steady anchor in the midst of life's storms, able to navigate both calm and turbulent waters with grace. This journey of mastering our emotions is a path to a resilient mind and a fulfilling life, where we're guided not by impulses, but by wisdom and compassion. 8. Trying to control everything. Trying to control everything in life is like juggling too many balls in the air. It's exhausting, and eventually, something will fall. When we try to micromanage every detail, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment, because so much of life is beyond our control. Whether it's the actions of others, unexpected events, or even the passage of time, attempting to control everything is an uphill battle that drains our mental energy and weakens our resilience. When we cling tightly to the need for control, we create inner tension and stress. We end up overthinking, constantly worrying, and feeling frustrated when things don't go as planned. This rigid approach doesn't just limit our mental well-being. It also prevents us from experiencing the beauty of spontaneity, adaptability, and personal growth that comes with embracing life's natural flow. Buddhist insights, non-attachment, and letting go. In Buddhism, the concept of non-attachment offers profound guidance on letting go of the need to control. Non-attachment teaches us to release our grip on outcomes, understanding that holding on too tightly creates suffering. It doesn't mean we stop caring or trying. It means we stop insisting that things must go a certain way. By practicing non-attachment, we allow ourselves to experience life with a more open, flexible mindset, ready to adapt to whatever comes our way. Another valuable Buddhist teaching is surrendering control to the flow of life. Imagine life as a river. When we try to control every current, we fight against the natural flow, creating resistance and frustration. But when we let go and allow the river to carry us, we find peace and freedom. By embracing the unpredictability of life, we free ourselves from constant worry and discover a sense of harmony with the world around us. The cost of constantly trying to control. When we attempt to control every aspect of life, we not only exhaust ourselves, but also miss out on valuable opportunities for growth and connection. Consider someone who always insists on doing everything their way, never trusting others to help or contribute. This need for control can lead to strained relationships, as others feel sidelined or untrusted. It also creates unnecessary stress, as the person becomes burdened by tasks they could have shared. Constantly trying to control also limits our potential. When we rigidly plan every detail, we leave little room for spontaneity, creativity, or unexpected opportunities. Life's most beautiful moments often come unplanned. A meaningful conversation, a chance encounter, or a surprise opportunity. By letting go of control, we open ourselves to these moments, allowing life to unfold in ways we couldn't have anticipated. Actionable steps: embracing letting go and accepting uncertainty. Learning to let go of control doesn't mean abandoning your goals or values. Instead, it's about approaching life with flexibility and openness, allowing yourself to adapt to whatever comes. Here are some steps, inspired by Buddhist teachings, to help you embrace a mindset of letting go. 1. Identify what's within your control. Start by distinguishing between what you can and cannot control. Focus on the aspects you can influence, such as your actions, reactions, and choices, and let go of the need to control outcomes or the actions of others. This practice helps reduce anxiety and allows you to concentrate on what truly matters. 2. Practice accepting uncertainty. Embrace the fact that uncertainty is a natural part of life. Remind yourself that not knowing is okay, and that flexibility in the face of change builds resilience. Practice this by gradually stepping outside your comfort zone, doing something where the outcome is unknown, like trying a new activity or exploring a new place. Each experience will build your tolerance for uncertainty. 3. Use the power of letting be. When you feel the urge to control a situation, practice saying, "Let it be." This mantra helps create mental space, reminding you that not everything requires your intervention. It allows you to observe without reacting, freeing you from the need to control the moment. 4. Develop a daily meditation practice. Meditation, particularly mindfulness meditation, teaches us to observe without attachment. By regularly meditating, we train the mind to notice thoughts, worries, and plans without clinging to them. Over time, this practice cultivates a sense of inner peace, allowing you to handle life's uncertainties with greater calm and acceptance. 5. Reframe challenges as opportunities for growth. Instead of seeing unexpected events as disruptions, try viewing them as opportunities for growth and learning. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? This shift in perspective helps you approach life's challenges with curiosity and resilience, rather than frustration. A real-life example: finding freedom by letting go. Consider the story of Emily, who struggled with an intense need for control in her daily life. She planned every detail, from her work tasks to her social outings, leaving little room for flexibility. She often felt anxious and stressed when things didn't go as planned. Realizing that her need for control was exhausting her, she decided to embrace a mindset of letting go. Emily began practicing mindfulness, learning to observe her thoughts and emotions without acting on them. She also adopted the habit of asking herself, "Is this something I can control?" If the answer was no, she consciously chose to let it go. Over time, Emily found that she felt lighter, more at ease, and even discovered a newfound appreciation for life's surprises. Letting go of control didn't make her life less organized. It made her more resilient, adaptable, and happier. Emily's experience shows that by releasing the need for control, we gain freedom. This shift allows us to live with less anxiety and more openness, ready to embrace whatever life brings with a calm and steady mind. Building resilience. Through non-attachment and flexibility, In Buddhism, letting go of control is closely linked to the practice of non-attachment and embracing impermanence. Life is constantly changing, and by cultivating flexibility, we build resilience. Non-attachment doesn't mean detachment. It means engaging fully with life while accepting that outcomes are beyond our control. When we live with non-attachment, we develop inner peace and mental strength. This mindset doesn't mean we give up on our goals. Rather, it empowers us to pursue them without fear or stress. We become more resilient, able to face setbacks without losing our sense of purpose. In this way, non-attachment is a form of freedom, freedom from the anxiety that comes from needing everything to be a certain way. Closing reflection. Embracing life's flow. Letting go of control is about embracing life's natural flow. It's recognizing that while we may not have power over everything, we do have the power to choose how we respond. By focusing on what we can control, our actions, our mindset, and our values, we release ourselves from unnecessary stress and open up to the peace of acceptance. The next time you feel the urge to control something beyond your reach, take a deep breath and remember that you don't have to have all the answers. Life is a journey, and each moment brings new possibilities that we may not be able to see or predict. By letting go, we make space for the unexpected, the beautiful, and the transformative. Instead of striving to control every outcome, embrace the freedom of going with life's flow. This approach fosters resilience, helps you handle setbacks with grace, and ultimately leads to a life filled with peace, adaptability, and fulfillment. By learning to let go, you're not giving up. You're gaining the ability to live with a calm, centered mind, open to whatever comes your way. 9. Dwelling on the past. Dwelling on the past is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with memories, regrets, and missed opportunities. This habit of constantly looking backward keeps us from fully engaging with the present and moving forward. When we're stuck in the past, we're often tied to feelings of guilt, disappointment, or nostalgia that distort our perception of the present. This fixation weakens our mental resilience as we expend emotional energy on what can't be changed, rather than focusing on the possibilities of today. In Buddhism, holding on to the past is seen as a form of attachment that prevents us from experiencing inner peace. By clinging to past events or grievances, we keep ourselves from living fully in the here and now, where true happiness and growth can flourish. Learning to release the past is a path toward freedom, allowing us to let go of old burdens and step into the present with a sense of lightness and renewal. Buddhist insights, impermanence, and the power of forgiveness. A core Buddhist teaching that addresses dwelling on the past is impermanence. Buddhism teaches that everything is constantly changing and nothing lasts forever. The emotions, events, and experiences of the past are part of that cycle of impermanence. By accepting that the past is unchangeable and transient, we begin to release our attachment to it, understanding that dwelling on what's already gone only limits our ability to grow and evolve. Another powerful Buddhist practice that helps free us from the past is forgiveness. Forgiveness in this context is not just about forgiving others, but also about forgiving ourselves. Often, dwelling on the past comes from unresolved guilt, regret, or resentment. By practicing forgiveness, we release these heavy emotions, creating space for healing and self-compassion. In Buddhism, forgiveness is a compassionate act that lightens our mental load and empowers us to move forward without the weight of past mistakes or wrongdoings. The cost of living in the past. Constantly replaying past experiences keeps us stuck in a cycle of regret, anger, or longing. Consider someone who spends years ruminating over a failed relationship. They replay every conversation, every decision, wondering what could have been done differently. This endless mental loop drains their energy, prevents them from fully connecting with new people, and leaves them feeling isolated and unfulfilled. Dwelling on the past can also lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. The more we fixate on what cannot be changed, the more we reinforce feelings of helplessness. Over time, this mindset erodes our self-esteem and makes us feel like prisoners of our past choices. Instead of finding peace, we feel burdened by what's already behind us, disconnected from the opportunities that lie in the present. Actionable steps: letting go and embracing the present. Learning to let go of the past takes practice, patience, and self-compassion. Here are practical steps, inspired by Buddhist teachings, to help you break free from the habit of dwelling on past experiences and begin living more fully in the present. 1. Acknowledge and accept. Begin by acknowledging the feelings or memories tied to the past without judgment. Allow yourself to feel the sadness, regret, or nostalgia, but also remind yourself that these emotions are part of a chapter that has ended. Acceptance is the first step to releasing these feelings. By accepting the past as it is, you empower yourself to let it go. 2. Practice self-forgiveness. If your focus on the past involves self-blame or regret, practice self-forgiveness. Reflect on the fact that everyone makes mistakes, and these experiences are opportunities for growth. Imagine talking to your younger self with kindness, offering understanding rather than criticism. Self-forgiveness allows you to release guilt, opening the door to self-compassion and acceptance. 3. Create new memories in the present. When we dwell on the past, we often neglect the present. Make a conscious effort to create new, positive experiences. Engage in activities you enjoy, spend time with loved ones, or try something you've always wanted to do. By focusing on building new memories, you shift your attention from what's lost to what's possible. 4. Practice mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is a powerful tool for grounding yourself in the present. During meditation, observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment, letting go of any attachment to past experiences. When thoughts of the past arise, gently bring your focus back to the present, using your breath as an anchor. This practice strengthens your ability to stay present and prevents your mind from wandering back to the past. 5. Reframe the past as a teacher. Rather than viewing the past with regret, try seeing it as a teacher. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? By focusing on lessons rather than losses, you shift from a mindset of regret to one of growth. This approach helps you find meaning in past experiences, transforming them into stepping stones for personal development. A real-life example: finding freedom from the past. Consider the story of Mark, who struggled with letting go of a business failure that had left him financially and emotionally drained. For years, he replayed the decisions that had led to the loss, wondering what he could have done differently. This constant rumination kept him feeling defeated, unable to start fresh or move on. One day, Mark decided to practice mindfulness and forgiveness. He began by acknowledging his feelings of regret without judgment, and gradually, he started forgiving himself for the mistakes he had made. Through this process, he found a sense of relief and even gratitude for the lessons the experience had taught him about resilience and adaptability. Mark's journey shows that by releasing the past, we free ourselves from the emotional burdens that hold us back. Through self-forgiveness and a willingness to see the past as a teacher, Mark found the strength to start a new business, this time with greater wisdom and a fresh perspective. His story illustrates that letting go of the past doesn't erase it. It simply allows us to live more fully in the present. Embracing impermanence for a peaceful present. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence encourages us to let go of our attachment to the past, reminding us that everything, including our experiences and emotions, is temporary. When we accept this, we find it easier to release past regrets and focus on what truly matters. Embracing impermanence helps us appreciate each moment for what it is, without the weight of past mistakes or missed opportunities. By focusing on the present, we open ourselves to new possibilities, experiences, and connections. We become more resilient, able to face life's challenges with a calm and steady mind. Embracing impermanence is not about forgetting the past. It's about honoring it as part of our journey, while choosing to live in the here and now. Closing reflection. Living fully in the present. Letting go of the past is a gift we give to ourselves. When we stop clinging to memories, regrets, or what could have been, we create space for new experiences, growth, and joy. Each day offers a fresh start, an opportunity to choose how we want to live moving forward. The next time you find yourself slipping into thoughts of the past, pause and take a deep breath. Remind yourself that the past is unchangeable and that your power lies in the present. With practice, you'll find that living in the present brings a sense of freedom, peace, and purpose that dwelling on the past can never provide. Choose to carry only the lessons from the past, letting go of the emotional weight that no longer serves you. In doing so, you reclaim your energy and direct it toward building a life filled with intention, resilience, and joy. By embracing the present, you create a life rooted in mindfulness, where each moment is an opportunity to grow and thrive. 10. Worrying about what others say and do. Worrying about what others think or say about us is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with other people's judgments and expectations. When we're constantly focused on how others perceive us, we lose sight of who we truly are. This habit of seeking validation and approval from others keeps us in a state of anxiety, always trying to meet the expectations of others rather than following our own path. Over time, this mindset weakens our mental resilience, as we become dependent on external opinions to feel worthy or confident. In Buddhism, excessive concern over others' opinions is seen as a form of attachment, specifically attachment to self-image. This attachment keeps us from experiencing true freedom, because we're always trying to control how others perceive us. The Buddhist path encourages us to let go of this attachment, embracing equanimity and self-acceptance instead. When we cultivate inner peace and self-acceptance, we free ourselves from the constant need for external approval, allowing us to live authentically and with purpose. Buddhist insights, equanimity, and authenticity. In Buddhism, equanimity is a practice of maintaining a balanced mind in the face of both praise and criticism. It's the ability to stay grounded and centered, no matter what others think or say. Equanimity helps us see that people's opinions are often shaped by their own experiences, biases, and perspectives, which may have little to do with our true selves. By developing equanimity, we free ourselves from the emotional highs and lows that come from seeking validation outside of ourselves. Another important Buddhist principle is authenticity, the idea that true peace and happiness come from living in alignment with our own values and purpose, rather than conforming to others' expectations. Authenticity teaches us that we don't need to wear a mask or pretend to be something we're not just to gain approval. By embracing our true selves, we cultivate a sense of inner worth that isn't dependent on external validation. The cost of seeking approval. When we're constantly worried about what others think, we place our self-worth in someone else's hands. Consider someone who makes every decision based on what their family, friends, or colleagues might think. Instead of pursuing what truly brings them happiness or fulfillment, they follow a path that pleases others, leading to a life filled with regret and resentment. Over time, this habit of seeking approval leaves us feeling disconnected from our authentic selves, eroding our confidence and self-respect. Living for others' approval also creates stress and anxiety. The fear of judgment makes us second-guess ourselves, hold back our opinions, or avoid taking risks. We become prisoners to others' expectations, unable to live freely and make choices based on our own values. In the long run, this need for validation prevents us from finding real satisfaction and inner peace, as we're always chasing an elusive sense of worth based on others' changing opinions. Actionable steps: cultivating inner peace and self-worth. Breaking free from the habit of worrying about others' opinions requires inner work and a commitment to self-acceptance. Here are some practical steps, inspired by Buddhist teachings, to help you cultivate inner peace and resilience against external judgment. 1. Reflect on your values. Take time to reflect on your personal values, beliefs, and goals. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? By identifying what you stand for, you develop a clearer sense of self, which makes it easier to resist the pressure to conform to others' expectations. Knowing your values grounds you, allowing you to live authentically and confidently. 2. Practice self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is essential for inner peace. Accepting yourself means embracing your strengths, weaknesses, and imperfections without judgment. When you feel the urge to seek approval, remind yourself that you are enough just as you are. This practice helps build a stable sense of self-worth that isn't influenced by others' opinions. 3. Limit comparison with others. Comparison fuels our need for validation. When we compare ourselves to others, we often feel inadequate, prompting us to seek approval to feel better. To break this habit, limit your exposure to situations that encourage comparison, like excessive use of social media. Instead, focus on your own journey and growth, measuring progress by your own standards rather than others. 4. Observe without reacting. When you receive criticism or praise, practice observing it without immediate reaction. Imagine placing the opinion at a distance and viewing it objectively. This practice, rooted in mindfulness, allows you to detach emotionally and prevents you from taking others' opinions too personally. By creating this mental space, you cultivate equanimity, which helps you stay grounded in your own sense of self. 5. Affirm your self-worth daily. Develop a habit of affirming your self-worth by repeating positive affirmations, such as, I am worthy of respect, I am valuable just as I am, or I trust myself. Affirmations help reprogram your mind to value yourself independently of others' judgments, building confidence and resilience against external criticism. 6. Choose authenticity over approval. Each time you make a decision, ask yourself, am I doing this to gain approval or because it aligns with my values? Choosing authenticity over approval strengthens your sense of self, helping you stay true to who you are. Over time, this practice builds a life that reflects your true self, rather than a version created for others. A real-life example: finding freedom from external validation. Consider the story of Sarah, who used to shape her life around the opinions of others. She chose a career she didn't love to make her parents proud, kept quiet in social settings to avoid judgment, and often hesitated to pursue her own interests. Although she seemed successful from the outside, Sarah felt deeply unfulfilled, realizing that she was living a life built on others' expectations. Eventually, Sarah began practicing mindfulness and self-reflection, exploring what truly mattered to her. She made the courageous decision to change careers, pursue her passions, and start expressing her opinions openly. Though it wasn't easy, Sarah found a newfound sense of freedom and confidence. By letting go of the need for approval, she discovered a life that was genuinely fulfilling and aligned with her true self. Sarah's story highlights that when we stop living for others' validation, we find a sense of liberation and purpose. By embracing authenticity and self-acceptance, we cultivate an inner peace that isn't swayed by the opinions of others. Building resilience through equanimity and inner confidence. In Buddhism, cultivating equanimity is essential for maintaining inner peace amid life's ups and downs. Equanimity allows us to stay centered, unshaken by praise or criticism. When we no longer need others' approval to feel worthy, we develop a resilience that keeps us steady in our sense of self. Another important aspect of resilience is inner confidence, which comes from self-awareness and self-acceptance. Inner confidence means knowing who you are and embracing it, regardless of how others perceive you. This confidence doesn't come from external validation. It's built on the foundation of living authentically and staying true to your values. With inner confidence and equanimity, we develop the strength to navigate life with peace, integrity, and a deep sense of self-worth. Closing reflection. Embracing self-worth from within. Letting go of the need for others' approval is a journey toward inner peace and self-liberation. When we stop seeking validation outside ourselves, we free up mental energy to focus on what truly matters: our own growth, happiness, and purpose. Each day offers a new opportunity to affirm your self-worth and make choices that align with your true self. The next time you feel the urge to seek approval, pause and ask yourself if this decision reflects who you are or merely who others expect you to be. With practice, you'll find that the opinions of others hold less sway over your emotions and decisions. By grounding your self-worth in your own values, you build a life of authenticity, resilience, and fulfillment. Choose to let go of external validation and cultivate an unshakable inner confidence. By embracing equanimity, authenticity, and self-acceptance, you create a life where you're guided not by others' judgments, but by your own sense of purpose and inner peace. This freedom is a profound gift you give to yourself, allowing you to live with integrity, joy, and true self-worth. Each habit we've discussed today isn't just a mental hurdle. It's an opportunity. Buddhism reminds us that by embracing mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, we can transform these habits, building the mental resilience we need to navigate life's challenges. As you move forward, I encourage you to start small. Choose one habit to work on, and watch as your inner strength grows with each step.